Frank McGuinness. I'm with Walt Disney Parks and Resorts, and I'm part of the Revenue Management and Analytics Division. So I try to help us understand the impact of our digital signage on our guests. Try to test, measure, and optimize that impact for a lot of different value streams across the company. For both Walt Disney World as well as Disneyland in California. And then I work and consult with some of our international parks as well on related signage initiatives that they have. Paris has technically had their signage longer than we have. I try not to hold it against them. The entire scope of the digital signage program, I'm not even sure I could give a number of screens to. There's a lot of signage. Disney has been doing signage for a very long time. From big boards talking about this many minutes until your next ride opportunity, to little tiny boards giving you an idea about what event is happening in that conference room. It's part of our cruise ships, it's part of retail, it's part of Disney Vacation Club, guest book, interactive experiences. There's gaming and gamification efforts. There's retail spaces such as food and beverage. It's part of the ticketing experience as you enter the parks. Some of it is pure show and entertainment. Others have holistic efforts and, again, driving value strategically, explaining complex products, helping our guests make a decision quickly and move on to another fun part of the day. So the scope of it is overwhelming, and again, I can't put a number to it, but it's decently widespread throughout our operations. Not all networks talk to each other. There are some different systems and some different providers in play. Our network overall talks to each other, but the different digital signage implementations are different, depending if we're talking about food and beverage or ticketing or that DSE or bus stops telling you about until when the next bus comes around. Not all those systems are the same, which is good in that it's a wonderful thing to have a variety of different vendors in play, so you're able to evaluate how they work in your operation, try to see those strengths and benefits, and you're constantly redoing that internal checklist about what's important for me, for my guests, for the company, for the next digital signage implementation. And there's always going to be a next, if solely for the fact that guest expectations are a very digital world that we live in. So I like the idea that we're constantly testing and adjusting all aspects of that. Bearing in mind that most of our digital signage is very guest-facing into itself, if something goes horribly wrong, it is occurring in the moment of someone's vacation. So you are rushing to quickly make it better, whether or not that means putting a crash board up over that digital signage or having a cast member there to describe what it was that was on that board 2 heartbeats ago, handing out a paper menu if that's the case within a food and beverage location. All of those are day-to-day challenges that might occur. On a strategic framework, the content that's developed on a per locational basis is highly themed because we are a highly themed environment. We often joke each of our locations are like a snowflake, that you can barely compare the two of them, any two of them. So when we create digital signage content, it has to fit within the framework of that theme. It has to be an Old West environment for Pecos Bills. It has to be something futuristic for Tomorrowland Terrace. We have to enhance the theme. We have to add to it, not take away from the experience via what we're doing. Fitting within those lines can be a complex challenge and takes a lot of effort on our side. And trying to make sure that the messaging we're delivering is not overly complex, is readable within the distances that we're setting apart, and easy for a very international group of visitors to understand. Those are challenges that are in our environment every day. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So digital signage lets you focus on, again, strategic products, on complex products, on telling a story via video. So just saying we have 4 parks and these are things you could find within Walt Disney World is not enough. It's showing and creating connections between different rides and different themes, showing via full motion video people enjoying themselves, explaining Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique as an opportunity for a little girl to become a princess. This is something that, again, on an international framework and just in general, you could spend a very long time giving a very long speech to describe that product, or you could just show a video. You could just add a bit of focus, a little bit of pixie dust, and before you know it, you've painted a photo an image for a guest who now gets it. The fact that they get it and they get it quickly within the very limited amount of time that they have is the goal. So you've told a story, and Disney's a great bunch of storytellers. So this is one more medium, one more channel for them to do so. The two pieces of it would be, on the measurement side, it depends on where it's embedded. So you're creating different metrics for each different deployment. So say in food and beverage, you're looking at one, promoting certain products during certain time periods, maybe to help with throughput in a very busy location. You can measure and track that. You can look at, are you driving guests to understand there's availability in restaurants at that moment? You can track and measure that. You can help guests understand on a marketing level that there's other locations they could go to within the different parks. You can track and measure that. Each of those are a series of constant test and adjust cycles for us. Understanding with great integration with operational partners, did anything else change in the environment? Was it the signage or was it something else? We spend a lot of time trying to figure out what that something else is and then normalize for it. And a lot of my own struggles over the past couple of years has been just that. How do we really say it was because what we promoted at that time period? So we develop a lot of models and we dive deep into the data and we try to understand the dwell times that exist for different types of locations. So again, food and beverage, you maybe have those minute, 10 seconds, maybe less, depending on certain times of day, to deliver that message. Can you get the entire call to action during that time period? And then do you see it in guests shifting one way or the other toward different mixes of products? You can measure that. So that helps later when we justify future expansion or looking at it in different lines of businesses. This is the kind of impact we saw here. These are the types of measurements we did. You can't just apply all of it, but you can start having a conversation. What are things that are controllable? What are things that you're already measuring that you have a baseline? If you can talk about the baseline, then you can talk about measuring it. You can talk about what might be disrupting it on a day-to-day basis. You can try controlling for it, and eventually you can try optimizing it. As long as the culture is one where you're constantly doing that test and adjust, where innovation is part of it, then there's good success, and you're able to, again, justify further expansion. Each of us are coming here with different agendas and different focuses in mind. I'm looking toward a lot of those analytics pieces, trying to understand what other companies are doing in the analytics space, measuring digital signage content and interactivity with customers. We have people here from our IT and technology teams who are looking at the screens, who are looking at the players, who are trying to understand the sustainment aspect of it and the project management aspect of it. Those are those focuses. We have teams here from internal communications who want to understand what other people are doing on a corporate communications level, of which the show actually has added value on that note, I believe, this year. Each person's here for a different piece. Walt Disney Imagineering's here as well, and they're no doubt having content-focused conversations as we speak. So I'd like to hope there's an amount of regrouping along the way, but each of us will go back and talk about our experiences, talk about what we learned, upload God knows how many photos that we've all taken at this point, and try to tell that story about this is the value that DSE brought for us. I think a lot of the value is both in the sessions, but honestly in the informal conversations, the random person you bump into, the I'm having that problem, I'm having a similar problem, let's talk about that. I've only started the many, many cups of coffee that will be involved in that process, but it's been very valuable. Whatever you do, keep it simple. At times, there's the tendency to overreach when you first contemplate putting digital signage or any new technology into your environment. You come up with a big list of, these are all the problems it's going to fix. We need to collect all this data. And then when you start planning your development, not all of those things were as important. You came up with that checklist, your matrix, you looked at many different vendors and you tried to understand which ones can fulfill that entire list. Looking at that same list 3-4 years later, not all of those items were as important. You crossed some of them off needlessly, if only you knew what you do not know. And if you keep it simple, if you try for some specific objectives, if you try not to incorporate all the data you have, but come up with some very straightforward metrics that you can talk about for those later return on investment discussions, that helps you enormously. And then don't forget to cultivate those relationships with your stakeholders in your operations, because the insights that they provide for changes in your environment, things that will disrupt your technology, things that honestly you have no idea just staring at the data on an Excel spreadsheet. Those are the partners who will support the project. Those are the partners who will try to drive usage of it in other environments. And if you don't do that, you have a much longer struggle into itself to reach some copacetic relationship. The digital signage industry has arrived.